Our reading today is a reading from Job, chapter 23, verses 1 through 9, and then verses 16 and 17. Then Job answered, "Today also my complaint is bitter. His hand is heavy, despite my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his dwelling. I would lay my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would learn what he would answer me and understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me in the greatness of his power? No, but he would give heed to me. There an upright person could reason with him, and I should be acquitted forever by my judge. If I go forward, he is not there, or backward, I cannot perceive him. On the left he hides, and I cannot behold him. I turn to the right, but I cannot see him. God has made my heart faint. The Almighty has terrified me. If only I could vanish in darkness, and thick darkness would cover my face." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me, from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but find no rest. Yet you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. In you our ancestors trusted. They trusted, and you delivered them. To you they cried and were saved. In you they trusted and were not put to shame. But I am a worm and not human, scorned by others and despised by the people. All who seek me mock at me. They make mouths at me. They shake their heads. Commit your cause to the Lord. Let him deliver. Let him rescue the one in whom he delights. Yet it was you who took me from the womb. You kept me safe on my mother's breast. On you I was cast from my birth, and since my mother bore me, you have been my God. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Many bulls encircle me. Strong bulls of Bashan surround me. They open wide their mouths at me like a ravening and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it is melted within my breast. My mouth is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to my jaws. You lay me in the dust of death.
As we continue in our Job saga, today we are confronted with more questions than answers. Last week the questions were, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, we discovered, I think last week, that life happens to everybody. And sometimes those life things are disastrous. Sometimes those life things are good. But whether you live a good life, a righteous life, life still happens to you. And I think that's what we discovered last week. And it's one of the things we discovered last week. That the rain falls on the righteous as well as the unrighteous. Bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. That's just life. And how we respond to that defines us. Which brings us to today's story. As the story continues here, his three friends, it goes through a 3 cycles of 3. His 3 friends speak, and in between each time his 3 friends speak, Job speaks, or responds to that friend. And then the cycle is repeated, and it's repeated 3 times. Well, we're in the middle of the third, we're in the 7th part of this, number 7. His friends have spoken 2 times each, and Eliphaz has spoken 1 additional time. And it's Job's turn to speak, to reply to what Eliphaz has said. What you need to know is his 3 friends, all through this, every time they speak, they're speaking to the same point. That if Job, if you were a righteous man, then this would not have happened to you. You must have a sin in your life somewhere. Otherwise, you would be still at peace, still have prosperity, and still have the potential for long life. And Job now is responding. His friends sit in judgment on him. Each one of them have judged him to be at fault. And Job has led a righteous life. It told us that in the very first lines of the first chapter of Job. The very first line is that here was Job, a righteous man, living in the eyes of God. And so Job says, I need to stand before God, the great judge, and plead my case. And I just know that if God listened to my case, I would be redeemed. I'd be held not at fault. What does this tell us? From the psalm I read to you, the very first line. My God, why have you forsaken? These are the lines, this is a line, quote that Jesus made from the cross. My God, why have you forsaken? And here's Job, in the depths of his life, in the depths of the pit, in the depths of the darkness that he feels around him, the loss of everything. Not just in the material world, but also his health, and he feels, I would imagine here in the statements that he's saying, and what he says here is that he feels that God has forsaken him. That God is not standing over him, watching him, not giving him a judgment. That God has left him to deal with this on his own. That's what the psalmist is saying. And that's what Jesus proclaimed from the cross. My God, why have you left me in this place? Why am I here? What have I done to deserve this? You know that I'm a righteous person. Is Job's reply. But I think the lesson, and this is a lesson that a lot of us learn if we have ever had an addiction. Alcohol, drugs, gambling, whatever the addiction was. That at some point, most, not all, but most people who turn their life around, who go to AA or NA or one of the other drug treatment programs or the other anonymous programs, Gambling Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, you name it. Each one of the people, most of the people that are there, they're in Job's place. They've hit rock bottom. They've hit the depths of despair, the deepest part of their life, the deepest darkness their life can fall into. And that's where they are. That's where they were. And that's what changed them. And I think that's what the lesson of Job is today. For us. Yes, it's about faith. It's still about holding on to that faith in God. But more importantly, it tells us that when we hit that place where there's no deeper we can go, there's nowhere else to go, we are in the pit of the deepest, darkest despair of the place we can. And when you're in that place, the possibilities are endless for you. Because you can redefine. You're at a moment when you can redefine who you are, where you are in the scheme of creation, what you want to be when you crawl out, when you come out of the pit. New start. New opportunity, new growth, new way of being in righteous life with Him. And what I've discovered in talking to people who have had these problems or these difficulties with life is that they have a chance at that moment to redefine themselves, to repurpose their life. And in repurposing life, a lot find peace from within themselves, because that's where peace comes from. Peace isn't something that is on the outside of you. Peace is something that is inside of you. And you find that peace within yourself. And prosperity. But again, prosperity doesn't come from a righteous life. Prosperity comes from living a right life. Living a way that is generous to those around you. And prosperity comes. Because it's a wealth of not just material, worldly things, but also prosperity of life. Growth in friendships, and relationships. And that is prosperity. That is true wealth beyond imagination. And the potential for long life. We're all granted a long life. But how we live it sometimes determines how long we live our life. And to live a righteous life is also to live a life of care for yourself. You must have some care for yourself in order to move forward, to be healthy. Exercise, eat right, take care of yourself. And in doing those things and finding that peace and finding that kind of prosperity that is the wealth of friendships and relationships, and finding that that long life comes to you because your heart is at peace, your life is at peace. And that is what living in relationship with God is. It is peace. It is prosperity. And it is love.
Jesus. from the grave he rose.